Welcome, everybody, and good morning. If you could all come in a little bit closer, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So thank you all for being here. This is a very important event. You know, I can recall just when I was a kid, I'd drive through this area and we'd have to keep the windows up. And now today, the investments that Mayor O'Leary and Governor Lamont and House Speaker Matt Ritter have made in this particular parcel, you have a clean river, you have a new building coming through here. This will be a hub for economic activity, and this will benefit the citizens of Waterbury and the greater Waterbury community for a very long time. So we are honored to be here with all of you today, and we thank our mayor and our president of the Board of Aldermen for working so closely with state partners to get the money to really renovate this parcel. So thank you, and here's Representative Jerry Reyes.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the western part of the 75th District, the frontier of the 73rd and the 71st. It is my honor and privilege to be here representing the state of Connecticut and the great city of Waterbury. And I am thankful to all the governors, Governor Malloy and Governor Lamont, who played a big role in taking on this big elephant one bite at a time. And I am going to thank the current administration under Mayor O'Leary and Board of President Penarowski for having the guts to take this on. This stood here empty and blighted for too long. And it takes a fearless leader, and I am going to be complimentary about the leadership in Waterbury, taking on all these brownfields. And as I said, the 75th District has really benefited the most because we had the industrial era of a time gone by. We had the jobs, and we were left with the blighted property. So I am excited that we're here today to take down the last property here on Freight Street, and just looking forward to the great future of what the Freight Street corridor could look like. Welcome, welcome.
We'd now like to call up Paul Penarowski, President of the Board of Aldermen.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, and I want to acknowledge my colleague from the Board of Aldermen, Belinda Weaver, hiding down in the back down there. She's here with us this morning. As both Representative Reyes and Napoli said, it's great to be here today to see this demolition beginning. It shows what happens when you have a great, strong working partnership between the state, between the city, the leadership of Mayor O'Leary, and pushing forward to make Waterbury a leader in brownfield remediation is something that we can all be proud of. And the great working relationship with our state delegation, the local delegation, has been extraordinary to see as all of this has happened. These factories are what drove Waterbury to what it was back in its heyday. Unfortunately, over the years, they've been allowed to deteriorate, and we're finally getting the opportunity now here in Waterbury to start taking them down and transforming them. And what's going to go here is going to drive economic development in a way these factories did in the past. So it'll be the next phase of Waterbury. These same sites will be the driver for all of that. So it's great to see that finally starting to happen. We look forward to getting this done and then just keep moving right on with these brownfields until the face of Waterbury looks completely different. Thank you all for being here today. It's great to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you this morning. As I stand here on this property, it brings me back to 2011 when I toured this property with a number of different political leaders and several times with Senator Chris Murphy and Ken Kern, his Connecticut guy, is here with us today. And there was an awful lot of discussion about what we could do here. So this is, as you know, if you combine this property with the property next door, which we've done, it's over 20 acres of land. Of course, the industrial legacy, one of the brass manufacturers, one of the largest in the world, was here. And as Paul alluded to, these properties are what drove the economy, not only in the city of Waterbury and not only in the state of Connecticut, but all over the world. Let's not forget that Waterbury, Connecticut was the brass capital of the world, and people came from all over the world during the mid to late 1800s, early 1900s to this city to live here for a simple reason. There were jobs, and lots of them. These sites employed tens of thousands of people during that time. most of whom migrated to the United States of America from all over the world, particularly Italy and Ireland and Poland and Lithuania. And you know, people came here, and many of those families, of course, are still here. And this is the history of the city of Waterbury. You're standing on it. And, you know, quite frankly, when 2011, when I had launched my campaign for mayor, you know, one of our focuses was to do something with these properties, many of which turned into these, you know, they were closed for decades. No one knew what to do with them. They were blighted, polluted, and, you know, we worked hard to form relationships with our federal delegation to introduce us to EPA. We were fortunate enough to have some connections with EPA already through the work that we had done at the brownfield across from the PAL, where the PAL Park is located, and that was the beginning actually of my interest in brownfield remediation. And you know, we lobbied very hard to get the federal grant down on this Freight Street corridor, recognizing that if we could remove these properties, I think in total there were 12, and this is the last one. If we could remove these properties, we could now use this property to dictate what the next chapter was going to be for Waterbury. And this is a very good next chapter, we believe, in the heart of the city. 5 minutes walk to the train station, 3-minute walk to the greenway behind us that's under construction. And right here next to Route 8 and 84. The challenge, of course, the brownfields, the legacy that we were left with, the pollution, both above ground and in ground. And I think that, you know, it's amazing that the success that the city of Waterbury has had over the last 12 years in brownfield remediation. I know that we lead the state. I'm not sure, we probably may even lead brownfield remediation efforts in New England. Having said all that, you know, we're proud of what we're doing here, because this is, you know, when I first was elected, there were a lot of very genuine and sincere people that said, do you really want to take this type of challenge on? There's so many unknowns. And, you know, that's the reason why no one before us in the political world, you know, even dared to look at these properties. And the way I looked at it is that, you know, honestly, if we don't do it, who will? And will it sit here for another 30 or 40 or 50 years empty? This property is not located in a really densely populated neighborhood, but certainly, as Representative Ray has pointed out, there are so many brownfield properties located in the heart of the south end of Waterbury, which is a very densely populated area, that again, no one had the political appetite and, quite frankly, the courage to go after those properties to remediate them. Yet, you know, as when I was a police officer and assigned to the south end for much of my early career, I couldn't imagine what it was like for these children to walk out of their houses and look across the street or walk along the sidewalk and have these empty, blighted, some cases burned out, polluted, littered properties that they walk by to walk to school every day. So it was a challenge, and it was a lot of fun, but I can never be more grateful to our partners, starting, of course, with EPA, and then, of course, the state of Connecticut, deep, amazing, the partnership that was developed through them. DECD, we have the assistant director with us today, Melinda Wilson. DECD's been a huge part of every single brownfield remediation in the city of Waterbury over the last 12 years. You know, these projects, as we all know, are complicated and difficult. None of us really know what we're standing on. Who knows what's under us right now? Could be a number of different things. Hopefully not too many contaminants. The more contaminants there are, the more money and the more time it takes to remediate. But we're going to remediate this property. We have the money in place to remediate this property, thanks to the great work of the Waterbury Development Corporation and Tommy Hyde and his team, project manager Mansi Doshi and Ron Casella. And we have been very lucky with the funding. Starting, of course, in 2013 and 14, Congresswoman Elizabeth Esty met with us, wanted to know what the long-term plan was for this area, and we had those plans in place. We showed her what our dreams were at that time, honestly, and she applied for what is known as a Tiger Grant, which of course comes through the United States Department of Transportation. And Elizabeth Esty, along with Senator Murphy and Blumenthal, and the rest of our federal delegation throughout the state, quite frankly, and the governor at the time was Dan Malloy, got behind this project. I'll never forget the governor saying to me, and this is always, I tease him about it even to this day, you know, don't get too excited about that Tiger Grant. You know, rarely, if ever, and he said, quite frankly, never that I'm aware of, and he was the mayor of Stamford for 20 years before that, does a city get a Tiger Grant award on the first application. And I couldn't wait to call him when I got the word that we got the Tiger Grant award on the first application. And he was laughing. He said, I really don't know how you did that. And of course, he kind of did know that, because as governor, he had to sign off on it. I think it was a lot of timing, and more importantly, it was a lot of great push from our federal delegation, all of which that I've named. And I'm only walking you down memory lane. This might be my last press conference, so sorry about that, especially my friends from Manafort, not used to this kind of thing. But the truth is, you know, we rarely take a lot of credit for the work that we've done. And I can tell you that there's been a lot of work done, and everyone that's here and around this podium today is in a very significant way responsible for the work that's been done. And as I mentioned, Waterbury Development Corporation, but I think Representative Napoli mentioned Governor Lamont, who has been a frequent visitor not only to this site, but every other brownfield in Waterbury as well since he took office. And, you know, he's been very impressed by the collaboration between the federal, state, and local agencies on these Waterbury brownfields. And we really are, in many ways, a model, not only for the other cities and towns here in Connecticut, but across New England. I have my daughter went to school in Worcester, and one of her roommates' fathers, coincidentally, is a brownfield remediation developer. And when I met him on her first day of school 4 years ago, he said, "Oh, I know all about you." He said, "Actually, we looked at, our company looked at what was going on in Waterbury because of your aggressive approach to brownfield remediation." And he just finished Polar Park, developing that property, which of course was on a brownfield as well. So it's just funny how the dots connect in different ways. You never really know who you're going to meet or who you're going to talk to. And this is, you know, it's just amazing. Kurt Spalding. Kurt Spalding was a former EPA Region 1 director for, you know, this area. Region 1 encompasses 5 states, including Connecticut. And when I attended a national brownfield conference when I was police chief to learn about how to do the Pal Park up on Division Street, I went to a bar, might surprise you, to watch the University of Connecticut basketball game as they were on their way to their title in 2003. And I'm sitting next to this guy, and we're watching, and we're both rooting for UConn, and this was down in Philadelphia, and we started talking. So he said, "Where are you from?" And I told him. He said, "Oh, I'm actually from Waterbury." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, my grandfather was the chief metallurgist for Scoville's." I said, "Oh, wow." I said, "What do you do now?" He said, "Actually, I'm the Region 1 director of EPA." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Wow. Well, this is going to be a great game. I hope we win, but we're gonna have a little conversation here." And I can tell you that, I became fast friends with him, and he was very, very interested in these projects because obviously, as the Region 1 Director of EPA, brownfield remediation was high on their priority list for cities like Waterbury, but also having the connection to Waterbury, I think opened the door just a little bit wider for us. And that's what I'm talking about. It's all about collaboration and building relationships and winning over the trust of the people that matter to do what you say you're going to do to get these projects up and off the ground. Governor Malloy used to say to me all the time, I'm happy to give you the money, just make sure you get the work done. And that's a big issue. A lot of awards are given in the state on different projects, and a lot of awards are given around the country. The fact is that unfortunately, for whatever reason, sometimes these projects come to fruition and sometimes they don't, for a whole bunch of reasons, I'm sure. Here in Waterbury, every award that's come our way, the initiatives have been undertaken, and completed. And I'm proud of that. And then there's the CIF funding, the grant funding. We just got awarded $10 million in CIF funds. That's the $10 million that I'm referring to. We have the money to do the demolition behind us, but we need more money to make sure that whatever is in the ground, we identify and we make sure that remediate it and get rid of it. And so, we went to the Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and the CIF, of course, is the Community Investment Funds, and Matt Ritter and Senator Marty Looney and the Senate were responsible, along with other legislators, of course, including our delegation, in creating this CIF funding. And this CIF funding has dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into municipalities, small and large, across the state. And one of their priorities is brownfields. And they were very much interested in supporting this project because they know what this project will mean to the city of Waterbury in the long run. And a big part of all of these projects is the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments. Their CEO, Rick Dunn, and Ricardo, the brownfield manager, is here with us today. So you have to connect all those dots, folks, to make these projects happen. So this is 2023, almost over. We really started this in 2011. And in 2011 to now, we've had thousands of hours of meetings on this property and put together so much time and effort, and it's just kind of, it's a great feeling to see it come to fruition. This Freight Street corridor is being looked at by national companies around the area, not only in our New England area, but quite frankly across the country. This piece of property has great opportunities. We're not quite sure, of course. We know what the opportunities could include, which we would love to see, right? A little bit of open space next to the Greenway, some mixed use retail, maybe some residential, and who knows, maybe some commercial and maybe something even more significant. But at the very minimum, whatever happens here will grow the grand list, will create job opportunities, may create housing opportunities, and most importantly, will improve the quality of life for the people of Waterbury. And that's what matters, because for 50 years, they've driven by this piece of property and looked over, and of course, the buildings are gone now, except this one, and they've looked over and seen nothing but blight. And this is the difference here today. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Marcel Verino. Marcel Verino owned a lot of this property, and this piece behind us was the last piece of property that Marcel owned. Marcel passed a couple of years ago. We worked very closely with the family, his daughter Janice Shannon and his son-in-law Dan Gorman, who were very, very important on helping us to acquire this property, so that we could stand here today and finish up this last particular piece, which is 5 acres, by the way. This building's about 140,000 square feet. And I can't tell you how relieved I am. I'm sure the fire chief would agree with me to see this building come down, because we have always been concerned about a fire in this building. It's got the old wooden hydrocarbon soaked floors, and the other buildings before it were designed the same way. And we're very fortunate that we didn't have some of the fires on this site that we've seen in other parcels of land in Waterbury. And I'm always grateful to the fire department for keeping a close eye on this property. So at the end of the day, you know, I am leaving office with a great feeling of knowing that we're leaving this piece and other pieces throughout the city in a much better place than when we found them. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who are here. I particularly want to thank the Republican American for the coverage over the last 12 years. And we have Livy with us today, who is learning an awful lot about brownfields over the last 6 months or so. And we have Channel 8 here, and Tim, and we're grateful for that. There was other media that was coming, and I got text messages this morning, just not that long ago, unfortunately, over on Route 84 West, I believe, in Newtown. There's a tractor trailer that rolled over, and in the trailer were 40 cows. That's right, cows. So I'm just kind of praying that those cows are okay, and of course the driver. But you know, I'm kind of a frustrated farmer at heart, and when I heard 40 cows, that's what it was reported anyways. It may not be entirely accurate. Sometimes the first blurb isn't quite on par, but you know, I called the girl from one of the news outlets called, and I said, well, I mean, this is a really important day for Waterbury, but I'm kind of thinking that those cows are pretty important as well. So I understand. Go out there, and we can always do a news interview later. Take care of the cows. All right. So with that, I do want to acknowledge Senator Hartley is here. I asked her to come up and say a few words. And Representative Pizzuto is here, and I'd like to hear from him as well. And then we'll get this machine behind us going and knock part of the building down. But my sincere and very special thanks is to each and every one of you and my dear friends at Manafort. And I'm very impressed by the driver of this heavy piece of equipment. I've been around a lot of construction sites, and I haven't yet met a female heavy equipment operator. So I'm delighted to meet her here today, and I understand her father's on the job as well. Without further ado, I'll introduce you to Senator Hartley and then Representative Pizzuto, and I think we'll wrap this up. Thank you.
Good morning. This is a very important day, as Mayor O'Leary said, for the city of Waterbury. I've been around long enough to remember driving by here and even other parts of the city to see those smokestacks and to see what was being spewed from those smokestacks. It's been a long journey to where we are today, but without the leadership of this administration, the O'Leary administration, Paul Prudanowski, the Board of Aldermen, my colleagues on the state legislature, we would not be here. This project is the absolute example for the state of Connecticut about our brownfields program. You know, we have long struggled to compete because we are the industrial Northeast. There are many brownfield sites. And so I was very pleased this year on the Commerce Committee to be able to increase the amount of dollars that we will have available for brownfield remediation. And Waterbury is a primary example of, yes, Mayor, being able to present the project, prevail in the competition, quite frankly, because it is a competition, and to get the project done. One of our problems, quite frankly, with the Brownfields program, and our director of WDC will tell you that typically we have a cap on that, 4 or 5 million, and projects of this sort are so involved and so complicated that you find out that you have to be doing iterations of them and, quite frankly, redoing some of the baseline work every single time. And so now with the expansion of those brownfield dollars, we're hoping that we'll be able to address that issue, but we haven't completely solved that. But kudos to the administration. I'm so excited about the next chapter here. And where is that female driver? I want to shake her hand. Congratulations to all.
I just want to take a moment to thank the mayor, his entire team, the state and federal delegation, and all the players that are here. My dad came back from World War II, Normandy, came to Waterbury, raised our family. He was a toolmaker, worked in these factories. He was so proud of this city, and he raised us to be that way as well. And to repurpose a site like this is a monumental Herculean task that this mayor and all these people here and others were able to pull off. And I'm proud to just stand here and be able to say a few words. Without reiterating what everyone else had said, I thank everyone from the bottom of their heart. I can't wait to see what the next chapter of this land will be. And I look forward to helping in any way I can as your state representative. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks, buddy. I only forgot one thing, at least that I know of right now. Ty and Bond is our LEP on this site. Ty and Bond has done an amazing job here on this massive site, and I'm very, very proud that the city has partnered with them on this particular complicated site, because we have faith and trust in that organization as our LEP, and we're grateful for the work they've done here. So let's get this party started. We'll watch the little bit of the building come down, and once again, thank you all for being here. We are grateful. And lastly, the other media person who has followed me around for a long time, long before mayor, but police chief, and all the way down actually to detective, Waterbury Observer. Thank you all. Oh, sure. Here.
You want to do it here?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. Yeah. Okay, sounds good.